Hey everyone, and welcome to another informative and free video tutorial from the only photo blog out there dedicated to ridding you of your photo envy. Today's tutorial we're going to talk about how to put the finishing touches on your HDR image using Camera Raw and Photoshop. So I'm going to go ahead and open this 16-bit TIFF image in Camera Raw, where we're going to do some pretty quick basic edits. The first thing I'm going to look at is the border. When we automatically aligned these layers to fix that ghosting problem, it kind of messed with the border just a little bit, created kind of a pixel wide gap between the around the entire border. So I'm just going to take my crop tool here, and it actually is, you probably can't see on the recording, but there's a little bit of a border there, so I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. So I'm going to press enter. Now the cool thing about working with Camera Raw is that any adjustment that you make, you can go back and fix. It's all non-destructive editing. I can even press the straightening tool, and that shows my crop window, and I in fact think that I'm going to straighten this, and that's looking pretty good. Drag the top down, being careful about that border. And the next thing that I'm going to do is kind of enhance the colors and the contrast a bit. So to bring up the contrast, what I normally do is take the black slider, and I'm just going to bring it up to about 10 right there. I'm also going to come over here to the clarity slider, about 32 there, just to create a little bit of sharpening throughout the image. Now later I'm going to apply an unsharp mask to really get the sharpening that I want, but the clarity adds a nice little pop. And I'm going to bring the vibrance slider up as well. It's very easy by using the vibrance and saturation sliders to go overboard, and I'm trying really not to do that. I'm not, in fact, hardly going to touch the saturation slider. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my oranges in the individual color adjustment bar, and I'm just going to bring that up just a little bit, add a nice little pop. The last thing that I'm going to do with this image is my spot removal. And it doesn't have to be a dust spot that I remove. I can take out anything that I find is too distracting. So that's looking pretty good there. What I'm going to do is go ahead and save this image, and I'm going to save this as a TIFF. That way, if I ever want to go back to that unedited TIFF, then I can always go back to that, open it in Camera Raw, and all those adjustments that I just made will still be changeable. Now with our image open in Photoshop, I'm going to continue the finalization process in a non-destructive manner. So I'm going to use adjustment layers, and I'm going to start with the curves adjustment layer. So I'm going to come here to the middle of this histogram and bring the line down just a little bit to where the entire image darkens. And I'm going to press Command I to fill my adjustment layer mask with black, and press B to select my brush. I've got my opacity at 100%, so what I'm going to do is come on over here to the car and just paint in the areas of the car that I want to have darker. And that car is looking pretty good there, so I'm going to go ahead and lower my opacity down to about 50%. And I'm going to press the bracket keys to change the size of my brush, and now I'm going to come over to the shadowed areas that I'd like to just have a little bit more contrast going on. Now, the cool thing is, when working with straight lines, I can always click on a certain point, press the shift button, click on another point while holding the shift button down, and that creates a straight line connecting between the 2 points. It makes for very quick editing. And also the cool thing is, when working with a lower opacity brush, if I have a curved line, I can do successive straight lines throughout that curved line. So for instance here, this is just a collection of straight lines on this shadow coming down the support of the bridge. Basically anywhere in the photo that I'd like to just add a little bit of darkness to the already dark areas. Now I'm not blowing out those areas at all, just making them a little bit darker so that there's a little bit more contrast to the image. Don't want to forget about the background objects either. Here's the gherkin in the background, and one of the things I intentionally did was I framed the gherkin inside the support for the bridge here. So I want to bring that out. Okay, now I have the darks where I want them. Now I'm going to work on the highlights. I'm going to create another adjustment layer of curves, and this time I'm going to move the histogram in the opposite direction. Clicking on the center and just bringing it up just a bit. Now I want to make sure that I don't go overboard with this. Now remember, I'm going to create a layer mask and fill that layer mask with black. So the adjustment I just made is going to be hidden until I punch through with my brush. I'm going to leave my brush at a pretty low opacity for most of these passes. So about 48% is fine with me for the opacity. And I'm just going to come and brush over the areas that I think should be a little bit lighter. I'm going to come over here to the car and bring out those lighter streaks as well. So I just went ahead and set my brush back to 100% opacity, and I'm just really going to bring these streaks out here. The reflection of the clouds. I think that's really cool that the car was streaking by and I got a reflection of the clouds. Also, this bar here has some reflective light on it, and I would like to enhance that. So I'm just going to again do my magic trick with pressing Shift and creating a straight line. Bingo. And just some random vertical lines coming down here. I see some adjustments that I want to make to the image to make them darker, so I can always go back to my first curves layer, select that, and come in here and kind of darken the trees down a bit in the background, darken some of those buildings down as well. That's looking pretty darn good, guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press Command A, then Command Shift C, or copy merged, and I'm going to press Command V to paste into a new layer, and this is a new layer that contains all the adjustments that we made in the previous layers. What I'm going to do now is come up to Image Mode and change my image to an 8-bit image. That way I can use my Noiseware plugin from Imagenomic, and this is a must if you're doing HDR work, because every time you work with HDR photos you're going to get noise, most likely in the sky, but also in other dark areas. So come on down here, select Imagenomic Noiseware Standard. Now the areas that I'm concerned about are the darker areas of the sky, and also the darker areas such as the guy walking here and the car going by in some of these darker areas of the reflected metal. There is a bit of noise, and you can even see here the difference in the noise. This is the suggested correction, and this is what it looks like now. So it's a before and after, and when I click on it, it shows you the after as well as I'm moving. So that's actually a pretty good suggested correction. So I just have this set on landscape. Imagenomic's pretty good about setting its presets up to do what I'd like it to do. But I don't want to remove noise from the entire image. For instance, I don't want to take out any of the detail of the bridge, of the tower, or of the buildings in the background, and I'd like the sandy or the gritty nature of the sidewalk. So I don't need to remove noise from that. So what I'm going to do is create a layer mask here, and I'm going to press Command I to fill that with black. And then with my brush, a little bit larger now, I'm going to punch through the sky into the areas that I want to take away the noise. Also over here with the car, I don't want any noise on the car, and I'm going to make my brush a little bit smaller and come over here to the man and to these people and remove the noise there, and just the parts of the sky here with a smaller brush. Now I'm going to go ahead and create another layer. I'm going to press Command A, then Command Shift C to copy merged, and then Command V to paste that new layer. And I'm going to come back up to my filter menu to Sharpen, and I'm going to select Unsharp Mask. I have my Unsharp Mask set exactly where I want it for most of my images at 157% and 1.2 pixels. And you can experiment with that, but I find that gives me the results that I'm looking for. And now this image is looking pretty darn good. I'm going to come back up to image mode, turn it back into a 16-bit image, and I'm going to press Command Shift E to merge down, Command Shift S to save, and I'm going to save this as a 16-bit TIFF. That's it for our tutorial. I hope that you found it informative, and I hope you check back into NVA Photo Blog for other fun, informative, and free tutorials to help you get over your photo envy. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.